There we go.
Hello, 1990.
Hi.
Welcome to week 4. It is kind of blurry.
I know. I think I just need to clean my computer.
God.
It's not. I don't think it's blurry to them.
Amazing.
It's just blurry to me.
One of my favorite of the 6 weeks course is today, because it's where the rubber hits the road. It's a listing appointment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. We're going through all of this work. I like to even sometimes call it brain damage. Lead generation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, how many people do we have to talk to? How many calls do we have to make? How many doors do we need to knock on? How many contacts and da 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 da. It's not terribly fun.
Right. It's a lot of work.
It is. And then we get to finally do what I personally love, is show up at somebody's house and convince them or to show them the value of hiring us to put a sign in their yard and to help allow us to help them reach their goals.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about pre-qualifying. So we've scheduled the appointment. That's got to be goal number 1. Like, without an appointment, we have nothing to do.
Right.
We can't
Go back and schedule an appointment.
Yeah, we can't sell homes unless we meet buyers and sellers.
Right.
We can have the greatest customer service on the planet, and if we don't have people to provide that to, we don't have a business.
Right.
So goal 1 is schedule the appointment. Goal 2 is qualify.
Okay.
Awesome. I scheduled the appointment. Are all appointments equal, Andrea?
Definitely not.
No, of course not. Some people are uber motivated. They're going to take all of your advice. They're going to price appropriately. They want to get the home sold. And other people are like, well, let's put a sign up, and if it doesn't work out, we'll just remodel and stay.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Yeah, I would challenge, why would I spend time, energy, and money with that group when all I have to do is look for the other group that's actually motivated? So we pre-qualify after we schedule the appointments, and then we're going to take you through, after the pre-qualification, my exact listing presentation.
Good.
All right, let's get started.
Okay.
All right, so on last week did you work on your database? Just quick recap.
Mm-hmm.
Did you schedule your touches for 2020? We gave you that easy peasy calendar. Did you reach out to any past clients? Did you consider or work on scheduling a client event or client appreciation event? Did you create any business or social media posts? And of course, you're in the challenge now. Have you been hitting your weekly listing goal? Are you staying committed to that?
Mm-hmm.
We are currently in a 30 and 30 on our team, and it ends on the 29th, which is Saturday.
Yep.
And we've got 2 more listings to take. We're ahead of our escrows. I think we're at like 20 escrows. So we made both a listing goal and an escrow goal. We're at like 20 plus escrows. So we're ahead of that. And for the listings, to hit our listing goal, we need 2 more, and we've got 4 days to do it.
Yep.
So I feel pretty confident. We actually have 3 to get, but one of those is being signed today. So we have 2 after today. Yeah. All right. So where do you stand on your goal? Knowing where you stand on your goal every single minute is critical to actually hitting your goal. All right, let's move into this week's curriculum. So first part of pre-qualifying is a mini CMA. Like, we do these really fast. Like, hey, Andrea, do you want to sell your home? And you would say?
If I can get the right price.
If you get the right price, awesome. What do you think you want for the home?
500.
Great.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick CMA. I don't need to see the property. And let me see. And then I would hang up the phone.
Okay, so what's a quick CMA?
It's like, at this stage of my career, it takes me less than 5 minutes.
Oh, it's quick.
Literally quick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more accurate, I believe, than Zillow. But essentially, I'm going to pull up like the street or the neighborhood. I'm going to pull up the school district. What year is your house built, Andrea?
2005.
Perfect. So I might search houses built 2002 to 2007. What's your elementary school?
It's.
You've got
I don't know.
Your kids are 2. Bonnie Slope.
Yeah.
So I would search, if you're built in 2005, I'd search homes 2002 to 2007 in Bonnie Slope. And what's your square footage?
3,500.
I would probably search 3,300 to 3,700.
Cool.
So couple years around her year built, couple hundred square feet either side. By the way, she has a bigger home. If she said her home was 1,400 square feet, I'd probably only search like 13 to 1,600. Mm-hmm. But a bigger home, like, I exaggerate out. And then, so close in square footage, close in year built, and close in proximity.
Right.
And I was just like, what's happened in the last 90 days?
Yeah.
That's a mini CMA.
It's just a snapshot. So you're seeing that homes in my neighborhood that are similar to mine are selling between 475 and 520. Okay, well then me wanting 500 is probably, like, we can talk.
I'm gonna call you back and be like, when can I come over?
Right. Now, if you saw that homes in my neighborhood are selling at a max of 450 and I just said I want 500, that's a conversation as well. It's like, well, what am I missing?
Yeah, I'd call back, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Andrew, I just did some quick numbers. Anything really special about your home? I haven't seen your home. Anything like, do you have gold leaf or anything I need to know that makes it super special?
We back to green space.
Oh, green space is
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, a couple of the other homes I found back to green space as well. Same street. Anything else?
We like it.
Yeah. So good. I haven't seen your home, but the max value I'm seeing in your neighborhood is 450.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's a long ways from 500.
Right.
I'd love to come over, but I don't want to like make you sad that you're probably approximately going to get 50,000 less.
Yeah. Well, I know. We were just hoping.
Okay, cool. I'll stay in touch. Click.
Cool.
So now I've got a nurture to stay in touch with.
Yeah.
I mean, people right now in the car are like, well, I can't believe you're doing that. Well, understand, of course I'm doing that because I'm going to make 20 more phone calls and schedule 2 good listing appointments.
Of course,
I
yeah.
don't need to go and convince Andrea to come down 50,000 in price. I mean, that was a cold call. She wasn't expired. She wasn't a force of my owner. Like, she might have been a nurture I somehow ran into.
Mhm.
She's not ready to sell.
Well, and you know what we find a lot with these is people kind of overestimate. They're, I was hoping for 500, and that's what I told you. But then you go and you do this, you're like, well, it's gonna be 450. And they're like, yeah, I kind of figured, like, if that's okay, if that's what you think, let's go ahead and talk further. So it's really more. It can match up motivation, but it can also see if that person. You're telling them you're going to do something, you're promising, and then you're coming back and delivering. So you're making forward progress on this lead. So if they actually do want to sell, now you're actually building that relationship and that rapport with them, and they're more likely to invite you over.
Yeah, it's our first step in pre-qualifying. Because step 1 is
Set the
schedule an
appointment. Yes.
Anybody, like, can you come over, Craig? Yes, I want to come over.
Yeah.
Awesome. I don't know if you're an axe murderer. I don't know if you want to sell. I don't know if you're nice. I don't know if you're motivated. I don't
Really
know if
care.
you'll pay the commission. I don't care. I just set the appointment.
Yep.
I'm going to literally high five. Like,
Yes.
I
did
set the
it.
appointment. Next is pre-qualify. This is one of our first steps often in pre-qualifying.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the next slide.
Did I do it? There we go. Pre-qualifying.
All right, this is the foundation. This is the Bible of my listing process.
It's also the blueprint.
The blueprint. Like, this is the system.
Yes.
I will not go on a listing appointment without it. What were you
Well,
saying?
and I just want to specifically going through this pre-qual sheet that we call the pink sheet is preparing you for a listing appointment. We don't have, people ask us all the time to send our listing presentation, like our PowerPoint or we don't have that. Like, this is our listing appointment. This is prepping for our listing appointment and what we'll, as you'll see in a few minutes, go over in the listing appointment.
It's kind of cool. Like, some of you I know that are part of this webinar or series, I met while traveling around the country. And when I'm teaching around the country, I'll often teach the pink sheet. You got a copy of this in your workbook, next page, by the way. And I'll ask people in the room, like, whether it's a room of 200 or a room of 500 or a room of 10, I'll still ask the same question, like, how many of you have some form of pre-qualification questionnaire that you ask prior to going on a listing appointment? And what I'll find is it's normally less than about 5 people. Right, so if I got a room of 150 people, less than 5 are like, yes, every single time I pre-qualify before I go over.
They happen to be the top producers.
Almost without question, the 5 people are the ones that are taking the most listings. Mm-hmm. And what they've realized is, like, when you get really good at scheduling listing appointments, it's actually demotivating to go on listing appointments with unmotivated sellers. Mm-hmm. When you have no listing appointments, you don't give a crap. You're just happy to have an app that. And like, oh, yeah, like, no, don't be proud. You're just like, wow, somebody's talking to me about selling their home. I've got no other sellers I've met with this week, month, or quarter. Like, I'm going to go over.
Sure.
When you become very proficient at scheduling listing appointments, you by default learn you have to pre-qualify them.
Yep.
So for those of you, and you're in this challenge, and therefore you got big listing goals, this is something you should be using every day. I won't attend a listing appointment without it, period. It's the other reason I really love it is so much of it on this sheet, and where Andrea and I'll go through a mock role play in it in just a moment, is what you're determining when you get to the appointments. Right, so I go over to your house. Let's say you're, Gus and Andrea seller. Gus is her husband. I'm like, why are you selling? Where are you moving to?
You're saying if we don't pre-qualify, this is what happens.
Yeah, if I don't pre-qualify, then I'm asking all those questions in your dining room or living room. Yes or no?
Of course. Yeah.
Well, here's the problem: is I'm not prepared. I'm asking, you're telling me, and then I've got to come up with responses.
You have to think.
I have to think on the spot.
Hmm.
But if I ask Andrea and Gus, sellers, all the questions before I get there, then that gives me immense amount of time to prepare, and to show up organized, and I will dominate and get that listing. So why don't we just run through it really quickly?
Okay.
At the top is, why don't you go to the next slide?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. There we go.
So at the top, we've got, meeting time, who set the appointment, your contact info, great. We've got the DISC profile. We're not going to talk DISC in this series. I will say though that DISC is a behavioral profile. There's hundreds of thousands of hits on it on Google, and we are big advocates of the DISC. And basically, we just try and mirror match.
Well, we don't give our clients a disc. We don't make them fill it out. We just, because we've studied the disc so much, it's pretty natural for us and our team to be able to say, oh, this person's a high D or
which
a high
is dominant,
C.
or a high C, which means that they're organized.
Exactly. And so if we can, or whoever's filling out the pink sheet can put that down on it, immediately our listing agent knows, oh, this person's a high C. They're into the data and they want to know what's going on. And so we're going to make sure we're fully prepared with all of that.
Yeah. So we just train on it. And normally we can tell within a brief conversation what somebody's behavioral style is. So we don't ask them as the owner, so we write it down. All right, let's move on. Why are you thinking about selling?
We just need a bigger house.
Oh, okay. What's going on?
We just had baby twins and they're on the move and this is just getting a little cramped here.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Do you know where you'd like to move?
You know, we love this neighborhood, so anywhere kind of around here.
Bigger home, same hood.
Yeah,
Got it.
yes, exactly.
All right, timeline. Like, when perfect world, when do you want to be in this bigger home in the same area?
We're ready when we find the right home. So, I mean, if that's right away, great. And if it takes a few months or so, like that's fine. You know, we're okay here. It's just getting cramped.
Perfect. Scale 1 to 10, 1 being you don't care if this ever happens. 10 is you're gonna be super bummed if it doesn't happen. Where do you rate yourself?
Probably an 8.
Okay, so you're motivated.
Mhm.
Anything that would make it from an 8 to a 10? What? Anything that could make it a 10?
If we found the perfect house.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're moving.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So this is a pretty real play. By the way, I never try to sell. She's like, I'm a 4. I don't care. All I want. This is a fact gathering mission.
Mhm.
Anything she says, I'm just gonna be like, fantastic, great. I'm just taking notes. No salesmanship here. Because if I start countering or selling, and I've still got a ton of questions left to ask, she's gonna start tightening up and not answer.
Yeah.
But this next section you're going to find in a few minutes is my entire listing presentation. Not this part, but the next one. Are you working with an agent?
No?
Okay, cool. If you decide to sell your house, what's the 3 things you really expect from the agent / professional that you hire? What do you really want them to bring to the table for you and Gus?
Oh, a lot of communication.
Communication,
Yeah,
got
we
it.
really want to know what's going on. And you know, somebody who really knows the neighborhood. Like,
So-
we want them to know what's going on and be able to, you know what's going on in our neighborhood specifically.
Neighborhood expert.
Yes.
Perfect. Also, what's the 3rd thing you really expect from the agent you're hiring?
I mean, that kind of covers it.
Okay. Andrea, you've got a $500,000 plus home, and it's expensive to hire you. It's a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of money. With everything you're going to be putting forth in this, there's got to be a 3rd thing you want from the agent you hire.
Well, I guess to make me the most money as possible.
Oh, perfect. Negotiator.
Yeah.
All right. So we have communication, we have neighborhood expert, negotiating.
Yeah.
By the way, so let's go out of script. Those are the 3 most common we see.
Mhm.
Here's what we don't see is marketing. Here's what we don't see is experience. We normally see communication, neighborhood expert, and negotiator.
Sometimes we see experience in the form of a neighborhood expert,
Yeah.
like knows what's going on,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about more in a minute.
Yeah, and you're going to see in the moments to come. I will base my entire listing presentation off of those 3 questions. Is Andrea, that was a very real role play. She only gave me 2. I didn't let her off the hook. I've got to get all 3.
Mhm.
All right, let's move quickly to the last part. Have you done any updates on the house in the last 5 to 10 years?
We remodeled the bathrooms.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
General sense your square footage. I'll look it up, but do you know what it is?
3,000.
You have a basement?
Yes.
Finished?
Yep.
Finished?
Yep.
Oh, awesome. And how would you personally rate your home on a scale of 1 to 10?
Maybe a 7 or 8.
Okay, what would make it a 10?
Well, the kitchen's pretty dated.
Oh, you did the bathroom, not the kitchen. Got it.
Yeah, and the yard needs some work.
Okay, so
Needs
you already
moving.
need some work.
Yeah.
Kitchen stayed. We'll take a look when I come over.
Okay.
Let's just go out of script. On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rate your home? You said a 7.
Mhm.
What would make it a 10 is updating the kitchen.
Mhm.
Do you think, ladies and gentlemen, do you think that's valuable at the listing presentation? Like, Andrew, I know you wanted 500 for your home and it's only worth 475.
Boo, I want 500.
I know you want 500, and reality is your kitchen, the house is getting 500 in your neighborhood somewhere in square footage, have updated kitchens. So you are a $500,000 home with an updated kitchen. Heck, you might even hit 520.
Mm.
With your current kitchen, you're 475.
Got it.
Do you think that's powerful when somebody tells you why their home is not a 10?
Absolutely.
Super powerful to know that. How could she argue my price later when I use her own reasoning of why her house is not a 10 to be the logic behind why her house is not the price she wants it to be?
Genius.
This next part in bold is if the house was previously listed, maybe as a for sale by owner or as a expired.
Mhm.
So if you were on the market, it would ask, but did you have any offers when previously listed?
No.
What kind of showings did you receive? So if there's a house on the market, I want to know the history of it. And then financials. How much do you think your house is worth?
500.
500. Cool. By the way, most people, if you ask them what their house is worth, what will they say to you?
They'll in the pink sheet when we get to question number 11, they'll usually tell you.
Yeah, it's just in passing, like, hey, I'm excited to come over tomorrow, and so my friend, what's your house worth?
And that's your job to figure out.
Yeah, normally they'll say like they don't want to tell us that, but in this case, we've been asking them a series of questions without any emotion. We've been saying, "Fantastic, great, thank you," when she answers them. So when I get towards the end of my questionnaire, what do you think your house is worth? You'll say
500.
perfect. Are you on title or somebody else? Anybody else on title?
My husband.
Oh, cool. And will he be at the meeting with us tomorrow?
He'll probably be at work still.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go out of script. Here's the one place I'll push back. So will he be at the meeting with us?
No, he's gonna be at work.
Okay. From my experience, I really encourage that all decision makers are there. Selling your house is a really big process. I can make my schedule available for yours and his. So when could you both be present?
He should be home by like 5:30.
Perfect. Why don't we do 5:30?
Okay.
Like I do not want to go on a listing appointment without both decision makers being there. It's a waste of my time and theirs.
Why?
Well, how many times over the years did I lose a listing? Like I went on an appointment, I just crushed it. In my mind, I crushed it.
Okay.
And like 3 days later, I'm calling like, ring, ring. Hey, it's Craig. You ready to hire me? And they say,
no.
no,
we're going with someone
whoa.
else.
I thought you loved it. I thought everything was great.
Yeah, you were great, but Gus really bonded with this other guy, and like they
Gus
couldn't get it
wasn't
on.
there when I came over.
That sucks.
That's the problem. If you go on an appointment and both decision makers aren't there, you could lose because the next meeting, the next agent may have the privilege of meeting both decision makers. You're dead meat in that case. Yeah, there are certain households where one spouse makes all the decisions, but more times than not, from 20 plus years of doing this and personally listing 4,000 to 5,000 homes, you want both decision makers in that meeting.
Good practice.
And then how'd you hear about our team? Cool, that's the questionnaire.
Woo.
Pretty simple.
Yep. So this takes 10 minutes to fill out.
About.
Yeah.
About.
Okay. And we're doing this how far in advance?
We are doing this a minimum of 24 hours, and often 48, 72 hours before the listing appointment.
Okay, so if they tell me that communication is important to them, and I'm not really sure how to respond to that, I have 24 to 48 hours to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I can get fully prepared. They can say anything, and I can get fully prepared. They can tell me that they need an expert in Lake Oswego, and I've never sold a home in Lake Oswego, and I can figure out how to become that expert.
We had one of these a week ago with Aubrey on our team. Aubrey's one of our lead agents.
Mm-hmm.
And their number one thing is we want a Westland expert. Westland's a suburb outside of Portland. We want a Westland expert. It's a nice suburb. It's a higher end suburb.
Yep.
So Aubrey came to me and said, Craig, the thing they wrote on, go back a slide. The thing they wrote is they want a Westland expert. They're like, that's one of their 3 things right here. We want a Westland expert. She goes, Craig, I looked, we only sold 3 houses in Westland all last year. Westland's like a half hour from here. We just don't do much there.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm screwed. I'm dead meat. Like, what do I do? And we spent the next 24 hours, and it turned out like we had so many relationships in Westland. It turned out that a year and a half ago, we'd actually sold a house like 2 doors down from this one. We put together all of these connections of Westland, plus we studied the market in detail. We'll go over that next. And then when we went there, we just started blabbering about how much we knew Westland and with the house 2 doors down and the Johnsons and their kids and da-da-da-da-da. And that just did it. They never specifically said how many homes did you sell in Westland in 2019. We went in so well prepared.
Yep.
That they believed we're Westland experts. And in our prep, I believe we're Westland experts.
We became the expert in that it was like 48 hours. Aubrey became the expert.
Now, my point is, if we didn't take the time to ask these questions, and Aubrey had gone on that listing appointment, the listing appointment's like, so, we want a Westland expert. What's your experience in my neighborhood? Aubrey would have gone and been like,
I mean, on the fly, she would not have come up. Like, you can't, how do you come up with something like that?
And it was competitive. So they interviewed multiple agents. She would have lost right there.
But she won.
She won. She got an $800,000 listing. Now they're going to buy a $1 million home. That's winning.
That's just off the pink sheet.
Go back one more slide.
Okay. Sorry. There we go.
You did a great job. There's just a quick script at the bottom. And it's like you set the appointment. It's like, hey, the reason for this call is I want to confirm you're meeting with me or Craig, whoever makes the call tomorrow at 5 p.m. Craig wants to make sure he's really well prepared. Can you answer a few questions that might help him get ready? We just need a few minutes of your time. So we just use that script before we go into the pink sheet.
Yep, exactly.
So goal number 1, schedule the appointments.
Okay.
Goal number 2, pre-qualify, maybe with a mini CMA, always with a pink sheet. Oh, by the way, why is it pink? Why is it not white? White.
Because you just picked up like 5,000 white pieces
here's an
of paper.
offer on my desk on a 1,000,001 listing. Yep, that's white. So wait, why is it pink?
Because I don't want it to get lost in all your paperwork everywhere.
Yeah, I'm a messy dude. I've got white paper all around me at all times. I only have one piece of pink paper. What does this represent?
About 3 sales in our market, roughly $36,000.
Yeah, this represents a listing opportunity because it's pink. That's why I won't lose it. And every listing we know when properly marketed will turn into 2 more pieces of business. So maybe I sell their listing, they've got to buy a home from me. Boom, that's the second sale. Maybe I sell their listing, they refer me to a friend. Maybe I sell their listing and a neighbor down the street calls me to sell their listing. Maybe I hold their listing open and a buyer comes through and chooses our team as their agent. Every listing represents 3 sales.
Yep.
So this pink sheet of paper, our average commission is $12,000. So when Andrea said this represents $36,000, here's one $12,000 check. And the 2 other pieces of business I'll get from this listing represent another 12 and another 12.
So I don't really want to lose this.
I
don't want you to lose this.
This is a $36,000 paycheck.
Yeah.
That's why it's pink. I don't want to lose it. All right, next couple slides.
Okay. All right, TMO.
Tell us what a TMO is, Ms. Morrison.
Total market overview. So basically what this is it's a snapshot of exactly what is going on in certain neighborhoods up to the date and broken down by price point. We specifically, these numbers, we purchased them off TMOreport.com. Our market center signs up for it. Other market centers probably sign up for it. The reality, though, is that most of these numbers can be very easily found in your MLS.
Yeah, some of your office.
Title companies are really anywhere.
We know we got folks from all brands and companies here. So your office, wherever you're at in the country, may create something like this.
Yeah.
Your multiple listing, they produce something like this. Heck, it's something you can produce yourself. It's all online. It's all part of your MLS. We just pay a third-party company called TMO.com to do it for us.
Yep, exactly.
So let's run through this one really quick. So it's dated February 24th. So that was yesterday. 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
So is that relevant to today's market?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it's 2 days old.
Yes.
This is for Area 149, which covers Northwest Washington County, Portland.
Okay.
So it's a specific geographical area of our city.
Great.
And then just has it broken from 0 to 100,000 up to 4 million plus. And so let's just go through. Let's just do a case study of 5 to 600,000.
Okay.
So 5 to 600,000. There's 55 homes on the market. And there's 33 of those 55 homes have an accepted offer.
Okay.
That's an insanely hot market.
Okay.
In fact, that's a 60% pending ratio. We do not have these scripts typed out.
Yeah, we do.
We do have these scripts typed out.
Yeah, on the next page.
Oh, good. These scripts are killer. We use these for listing appointments. We use these for lead generation. We use these when people ask us after church, how's the market? So let's just run through it really quick. Andrea, like, hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you? How's the market?
I'm really good. How's the market? Oh my gosh, I was looking at some stats this morning. Right now in Northwest Washington County, where you live, the church that we're in right now, there's 55 homes for sale. 33 of those 55 homes have an accepted offer. So there's what's called a pending ratio of 60%. Have you ever heard the expression pending ratio?
Never.
What that means is that 6 out of every 10 homes on the market have an accepted offer. 6 out of 10. So as you're driving around, whether it says sold or gone or for sale, just know that 6 out of every 10 for sale signs you see the house is already sold.
Wow.
Yeah, there's only 1.7 months of inventory. Have you ever heard of months of inventory?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically what months of inventory means to me is how long it will take to exhaust the current supply.
Okay.
But you've heard of seller's market.
Oh, yeah.
And you've heard of a buyer's market?
Yeah, I think it's a seller's market right now, right?
Very much so, yeah. The National Association of Realtors says any market that has above 6 months of inventory is a buyer's market. Buyers have the advantage.
Okay.
Any market that's below 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. The seller has the advantage. Right now, as of 2 days ago in Northwest Washington County, where you and I live, there's currently 1.7 months of inventory. So you're correct. It is an extremely strong seller's market.
Wow, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
That's
off
incredible.
the charts. Multiple offers. Many of our properties are getting above full price.
Awesome. Oh, well, we've been thinking about selling.
Well, good. We should. So that's the TMO. That's the scripts of knowing your market.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you come up with these numbers. Just there's a few key numbers as we just went through: pending ratio, months of inventory, list to sales price is another really good one. Find those numbers, especially right if you have a listing opportunity in using Northwest Washington County for an example. I don't need to know these numbers until I have that. Then I need to study these numbers and I need to show up as an expert. So you have time, right? Because you're doing the pink sheet ahead of time. You have time to figure out what you need to know and then find those numbers, do the research, and practice that.
Yeah, we study these numbers before listing appointments. We study these numbers before doing lead gen. We study these numbers before open houses. We've got Tyler on our team. Tyler's been licensed about 65 days.
Yep.
Brand new, actually, in Oregon, as well as 2 real estates.
Yeah, I got licensed right over Christmas time.
How many houses did you sell yesterday?
He sold his 4th.
Yeah, he sold 2
Well, he
yesterday.
sold 2 houses yesterday, his 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, Tyler, here's what I believe. If you can memorize and practice the scripts I just gave you, and of course, you've got to insert your local market stats. If you can memorize those scripts, here's what I think is that Tyler is well on his way to sounding more professional than the agent down the hall that's been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I mean, you can say to somebody like, Andrew, do you know what the months of inventory means?
No.
Yeah, well, what it means is that your neighborhood only has 1.7 months. You've heard National Association of Realtors, which covers everyone in my industry, says a healthy, balanced market. You've heard buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
A buyer's market is about 6 months.
Okay.
A seller's market is below 6 months of inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, our neighborhood is 1.7 months.
Wow.
It's freaking insane.
Insane.
It is an incredible time to sell. Right? We're using this a ton as well because people are like, well, I want to sell in May and June because I heard that's the good time to sell.
Right.
Well, okay, let me share with you what's happening today. This is dated February 24th, 2 days ago, and 6 out of 10 homes have an accepted offer, and there's only 1.7 months of inventory.
Uh-huh.
What do you think is going to be better in June? Nothing. What are you waiting for?
Right.
And I'll challenge people, like, why do you want to wait till May or June to sell?
Oh, we just heard that that's when there's, like the selling season, so hopefully we'll get more money.
Okay, so you want to wait till the selling season to make the most amount of money.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And here's what I'd fire back. With less experienced agents would agree with you.
Uh-huh.
Here's what's going on in your neighborhood right now. 6 out of 10 homes have an accepted offer, and there's only 1.7 months of inventory. It is a red hot time to sell.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be better in June. Like, I would sell right now.
Oh.
Here's the real, 6 out of 10 homes are sold.
Right. It probably won't get better in June.
It's is pretty damn good. If we go the price range right below yours, 8 out of 10 homes are sold. There's only 1.2 months of inventory.
Wow.
Heck, I can even go and look at multi-million-dollar homes. There's only 3 months of inventory.
Jeez.
This is an incredible market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the market's going to be doing in June, but I've been doing this 20 years. This is as good as I'm going to see. Sell now.
Great.
Okay, sign here.
Okay.
Right? You see how this comes together?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, it's not about using the TMO report. It's about knowing your local numbers and mastering the scripts to go with them. This is how we're helping Tyler on our team. Number 1, he sold 4 homes in 2 months.
Yeah.
Kid's killing it. Number 2, he sounds like an absolute professional on his calls and on his presentations because he practices those scripts every single day. Next slide. And here's the scripts.
So there's those scripts typed out for you, right? And obviously, you have to ad-lib a little bit to whatever the situation is, but this is the core of those scripts.
They're deadly.
List to sales price is the other one. So those 3 numbers are the 3 numbers that if you're having to look this up and do the research yourself, I would find those 3 numbers in any areas that you
any area, any neighborhood, any subdivision, any zip code, any elementary school.
Yeah.
What I share is, ladies and gentlemen, you actually have to work to be wildly successful.
Right.
You actually have to do the practice.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't believe in practice because I was such a successful agent, but I was a mess. My business fluctuated. I was up and down. And then I realized, like, man, I just need to practice like scripts like this for 20, 30 minutes a day, every single day until I internalized them. And all of a sudden the fluctuations in my business went away.
Weird.
If you want to be exceptional, you actually have to practice. If you want to have an exceptional business, you actually have to lead gen in some capacity an hour or 2 a day. If you want to be exceptional, you actually have to pre-qualify people before you just waste your time and show up at their house.
What's cool about this, though, is that they're so, it's very systematic, right? It's these scripts, practice them, look up your stats. It's that pink sheet. Just do it before every single listing appointment and prep. It's incredibly simple. There's a very simple system for it. You just have to do it.
Yeah, it's not simple. Well, and on the flip side, let's go through the questions and you really aren't motivated. It's like, Andrew, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, you don't care if you ever move, and 10 being you absolutely want to get this home sold. What's your motivation?
Oh, maybe a 3.
Okay, cool. What would it take to make it a 10?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We're just not really that motivated right now.
I mean, this is real. These happen.
I know.
We schedule listing appointments with people not motivated. All right, then I'm going to wrap up and I'm going to be like, hey, Andrea,
Yeah.
why am I coming over on Friday? I mean, I'd love to come over, but at the end of the day, like, it doesn't sound like you guys want to sell your home.
Yeah, we don't.
And I'm not a pushy salesperson, but at the end of the day, it doesn't sound like you're ready to sell your home.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
Why do I stay in touch with you?
That's a good idea.
I've got her name, I've got her phone number because I'm talking to her, I've got her email address, and I've got her address.
Yeah.
So where do I put all that?
Database.
Yeah, why the hell would I go over to her house if she's a 3? And it's
True.
not my job to convince her to go from a 3 to a 10.
Right.
Now, what I will share is sometimes people will kind of trick you and they'll say they're a 6 or 7.
And they're really more than that.
Yeah, and that's okay. Like, I think they do that because they're afraid we're going to lowball them or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just digging deeper. Like,
Right.
If somebody tells me they just had twins, I'm going to assume even if they tell me their motivation is a 6, people that just have twins need bigger homes.
Yeah.
They just do.
Right.
People who have job transfers need to sell their home.
Well, and that's one of 15 or 16 questions. Usually throughout that, like, you're getting that one direct response, but through everything you can kind of piece it together as well to figure out what their real motivation is.
All right, let's get into the listing presentation.
Yay! Okay.
So pre-listing packet, do you have a copy that you give them?
No.
Should we? Yeah.
I can send you one.
Yeah, we'll send you guys a copy of our pre-listing packet. It's nothing special. It's just something we send out or drop off to their office prior to going. It's testimonials. It kind of explains our process, our value proposition.
Yes. It's nothing. I mean, it's not like this totally special, awesome thing. It's just something to drop off to people if they happen to be the type of people who like seeing things like that.
So we call this the 20-minute listing presentation. Why is it 20 minutes, Andrea?
Well, it can be 20 minutes, but the idea behind it is that we're scheduling so many, and especially during our challenge, so many listing appointments that we had to get very focused on our listing presentation and how long it took, because quite frankly, we had more than we could fit in a day. And also because you're doing the pink sheet up front, you're knocking off 15, 20 minutes sometimes of your normal presentation anyway.
You mean if I went to their house and started asking all these questions,
yeah,
it would take another 15, 20 minutes in their living room. The fact I did it over the phone saves me time when I get in their living room.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So the 20-minute listing presentation, no, they're not all 20 minutes.
It could take 2 hours.
Not.
I don't care. I want to get a listing signed. I'll do whatever I need to do to get a listing signed.
Right, but the system and format of the whole process and presentation means that it actually could take you only 20 minutes.
One part of it is if we're really diligent. We talked about this with our own sales team yesterday, creating a bunker. Our team's getting really busy. I think we've opened like 19 escrows in the last 10 days. For us, that's a lot. So what's our team doing during lead gen? They're getting sloppier.
Oh, yeah, they're going to kind of mess. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, build a bunker. Like, it's only 2 hours a day, ladies and gentlemen. Do your freaking lead gen. The only reason you got busy in the first place is because all of January and beginning of February, you're lead genning every minute. Now you're getting busy with your clients, and what are you stopping?
Lead gen.
Yeah, so build the bunker. So when we really build that bunker and our world begins at 11:01, because what are we doing before 11:01?
Scripts and lead gen.
Scripts and lead gen. Then we have, it's now 11:01 and I've got fires, I've got listing appointments, I've got kids I got to pick up from basketball, I've got the Blazer game with my wife tonight.
And you have listing presentations.
And I have listing presentations. So what I found is I started getting my listing presentations faster and faster and faster because I had a short window to do it. When I didn't even start my day till 11:01, and then I had things in the evening with my family that I covet, it gave me a short period of time.
Oh, and you were scheduling a whole bunch of listing appointments, so you had more to fit into that short period of time.
And that's fine. I mean, a lot of my listing presentations are literally 20 to 35 minutes in and out, contract signed. Sometimes they're 2.5 hours. So don't get caught up on it. But what I will share is when I came in, it's like, hey, Andrea, it's noon, and I'm excited to see you and Gus. And I need to let you know I've got another meeting on the mountain here at 1. So I've got to be out of here in about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And at first I thought like she'd want to kick me out because like what kind of jerk?
Rude.
What's that rude?
Yeah.
But what it turned out is people are attracted to people who are busy.
Yep. Like, wow, you're successful. More people want you. Like, this is great.
By the way, I was not late. My communication with her was always timely through the courting process. And I'm going to give a very accurate presentation of those 45 minutes. they get attracted to you. People don't want to work with somebody who has appeared to have never listed a home before.
That doesn't look good.
All right, next slide.
All right.
All right, here's the listing presentation, the steps to it. Is be prepared is not uncommon to spend a half hour to 2 hours prepping. So that's another reason why I can do a 20 or 30-minute listing presentation, is my prep is second to none. I will spend hours and hours. No one will know that number one, those 3 questions. I'll get really clear on, if they said communication, what's my value proposition of how I communicate? I'll role play that with Andrew in a minute. If they say negotiate, I'm gonna be really clear on how I negotiate my value prop. If they say neighborhood expert, I'm gonna be really clear on my market stats.
Yeah.
So that's part of my practice, pulling comps, practice. Okay.
So you're fully prepared when you walk into that.
Absolutely. I try and do a 1-step versus a 2-step. What's the difference between a 1-step and a 2-step listing presentation?
Well, 1 step is you go over there and you leave with contract signed.
Yeah. So I show up, comps in hand, on a house I've never seen, and leave with contract signed.
Exactly.
What's a 2-step?
Show up, build rapport, see the house, et cetera, and then go back, find out pricing, come back again, share pricing, get contract signed.
Wow, that's a 2-step. Most of our appointments are 1-steps, even on houses we haven't seen.
And how's that possible? Like, how are you pricing a house that you haven't seen?
Most neighborhoods are conforming enough that you have the subject property, there's enough online, whether it be Zillow or when they previously purchased it, or the house next door, or the house 3 doors down, that you can normally bring pretty accurate comps.
Got it.
And the occasional time you don't, you just simply say, hey, I know I'm here to go over a lot with you and Gus today, because you can tell the second you walk in a door if you have the wrong comps.
Totally,
like,
yeah.
I know how important accurate pricing is.
Yeah.
Your house is different than I expected, which is a good thing. I want to do more work on pricing. So today I'll answer all the questions that you have, but the one thing I want to do is come back tomorrow with price.
Oh,
no one ever says no, but 80% of the time I've got the right comps.
Cool, great.
All right, be on time.
That's important.
Well, soapbox, I'm on my soapbox. Agents, we have this weird thing where we think it's okay to be late.
It's not.
Well, I don't think it is, especially not at the first meeting. I mean, how much is this pink sheet of paper worth in our market?
$36,000.
$36,000. You are going, if you're in my market, average commission is $12,000. You're going on a $36,000 opportunity.
Yep.
Why would you possibly be late?
I don't
It's
know.
a bad, and I only point this out because I'm very punctual. And I have had so many times that people have hired me. I'm like, why did you, this before I was really good at my scripts and my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was a good agent, but I didn't nail all this, Andrea. And I'm
Right.
like, why did you pick me over the other 2 people you interviewed? They said the other 2 were late, you were on time. I mean, if I had that happened so many times throughout my career.
It's incredible.
So I was like, wow, that's stupid.
Be on time.
Yep. All right. In a perfect world, I want to tour the house by myself.
Okay.
That's not always, and the reason is because I move a lot faster without them. And it's not always possible. Like, they want to show me their home. They don't know me. They're nervous for me to tour it. In other words, I want to be like, hey, why don't you guys like hang out? We'll do a quick run through. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And if they're, sometimes they're like cool, and other times they just tell in their eyes like, no way, man, you're not going in my house alone.
Right.
Cool. Well, let's go together. And
Yep.
I just know at that point it's going to take me longer.
Why?
Oh,
They
they just got
everything?
stupid things they're sharing. Like, well, this room used to be green and we painted it pink for our baby. Like, they'll tell you a long story about the paint job. I was like, it's a pink room. It is
Right,
what it is.
yeah.
It's ugly. Or it's beautiful. Like, it doesn't,
Right.
it's just everything is story time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being sarcastic, but at the end of the day, it is the truth.
It's true.
This is the kitchen. No kidding. You got a refrigerator here. Of course it is.
Right.
And a stove and a sink.
Yeah.
That's all.
Got it.
Well-
So if possible, tour it on your own, but honestly, like, we give in super quick if they want to tour it with us.
Yeah, and I'm being sarcastic. Most of the tours I end up doing with them, but I do move fast, and I prefer to tour it alone.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, because I'm lead gen until 11, I've got listing appointments all day, and they walk slower than I do. That's all it is. All right, so I always want to sit at the kitchen table, ideally,
Okay.
not a couch. Couches are too cozy. This is a business meeting. Like,
Yeah.
I want, like, I'm gonna sit there, and if there's gnomes and stuff in my way, I'm literally like, hey, do you mind if I move this as I'm moving it?
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, we went through the pink sheet. We've done a lot of prep work. We have our comps. We have our TMO or whatever, our market stats. We have kind of a lot of stuff that we're going to want to, like, sit up and talk about and show to people and all of that. And that's not, you can't really do that when you're sitting across from each other on a couch or in the living room. It's just weird. But in the dining room, right, at the dining room table, we can kind of sit there. You have your little area. You've moved everything out of the way and made it a professional setting.
Well, if I've got husband, wife, like I'm positioning myself where I can see both of them. Sometimes husband and wife don't like each other. So one tries to sit here, one here. That's really hard to present to.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, hey, do you guys mind sitting next to each other?
Right. And guess what? You're the professional. You want to take control. That's what they expect of you.
Yeah, you're the expert. You're the expert. Okay, cool. And then I'll just simply, what's that?
You did a lot of moving around.
Well, I'm sorry. No, like, this is my happy place. Like presenting listing presentations, I get excited.
Love it.
So then I'm gonna literally just pull up the picture. I'm not gonna hide it. And I'm gonna go through it and be like, okay, thanks for having me over.
Yeah, thanks for coming over.
Yeah, today's all about you guys and your goals.
Cool.
Is there any questions you have for me, or do you want me to get started and then you ask questions along the way?
I mean, we did want to know what you think we should do to the house to get it listed.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me give you a list of that. In fact, I might type you up a detailed list. I've taken a bunch of notes as I ran through it. Let me think through that. You know, it's at the end of the day, you're in pretty good condition. The market's insanely hot. We'll talk about it. Like, I don't know if you have to do a ton, but there's a couple things I noticed where maybe get the windows cleaned or fresh spark tests and those things. If you spent $400 or $500, it might make you a few thousand.
Cool. Awesome.
Right. Let me think through that. I promise I'll send you an email.
Thank you.
By the way, if I don't get contract signed, that's a good excuse to follow up later.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to focus on a couple things here, Andrea. One of them is baby twins, bigger house.
Yeah.
So
we have a really big dog too.
This whole thing, yeah, Teddy, I met him, he's huge. So this whole thing is subject to finding that home.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can't move baby twins and dog out without a house.
Got it. But you're probably like most of us, ready to sell home A to be able to afford to buy home B.
Yes, that's true.
Well, let's focus on this and make sure that we then get you the next.
Okay.
So 3 things you said were super important to you and Gus, and the agent you hired. One of them was communication.
Mm-hmm.
Can I share with you? So here's my, ladies and gentlemen, here's my listing presentation. You said communication.
Yeah.
Can I share with you how my team communicates?
Please.
Awesome. When you hire us, step 1 is my marketing person on my team. Her name is Bree. You talked to her on the phone. She actually answered.
She's nice.
Yeah, she's great. She asked you all those questions.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna come over.
Okay.
She's gonna spend several hours here taking even more notes and meeting the photographer and working with the stager and getting everything ready. And then she's gonna get all the marketing put together. I'm gonna proof it. When she's happy with it, I'm happy with it. You're gonna see it.
Okay.
And then because we want your feedback. You've been here for years. It's your home.
Right.
And when you are happy and Bree's happy and I'm happy, we're gonna get the marketing out to the world.
Okay.
We're then going to get a ton of showings. We're going to have to talk about how showings work between the big dog you've got and the baby girls. Bottom line, the only way to sell your house is for people to come through.
Sure. Yeah.
So we've got, that is the mission, get qualified buyers through here every day.
Mm-hmm.
More qualified buyers, the more offers I get you.
Okay.
Every single time you get a showing, Bree's going to reach out to that agent.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to ask them specific questions like, number 1, are you going to write an offer?
Oh.
Number 2, do you have any questions for Craig that he can answer?
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, do you have any feedback on condition? Number 4, did you see any other house in the neighborhood that you liked more? If so, why?
Okay.
And whenever they answer those questions, Bree's going to send to you and I.
Oh, like right away?
Immediately.
Oh.
Now, sometimes the agents don't respond. She'll still update us like, hey, I reached out to that guy 3 times. Like, we will be communicating with you on every single showing you get.
Oh, wow.
On top of that, Andrea, I'm going to call you every single Monday morning.
Okay.
Mondays are not a happy call for me.
Oh.
Well, if I'm calling you on Monday, it means your house hasn't sold.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
and so what I'll share with you on Mondays is, hey, here's a recap of what we did last week to sell your home. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the fact it's Monday morning, you're not sold. Yeah. And so here's what I'll do more of or do different this week to get your home sold.
Okay.
Now, Andrea, you said that communication is very important to you and Gus. Based on how my team communicates, does that meet your level of expectations?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
The next thing you wrote down is you said that you're looking for a neighborhood expert.
Yes.
Okay, can I share with you what's going on in your neighborhood?
Please.
Okay, so right now we're sitting here in area 149. That's the classification for our multiple listing. We're sitting here.
This is what you just put in front of me.
Yep. Yeah, this the TMO or the numbers. We're sitting here in Northwest Washington County. So by the way, I'm just pulling this out. I don't have to have it memorized. We're sitting in Northwest Washington County. Now, we're going to talk price before I go, but it sounds like you feel your house is worth over 500.
I hope so, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think we're there. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So let's just look at what's happening at 5 to 600 in your neighborhood. There's 55 homes for sale.
Okay.
This is not standard. 33 of those 55 homes have accepted offers.
that's
So
pretty good.
they're waiting to close.
Yeah.
Buyer and seller have agreed on price. They're just going through closing, appraisal, loan.
So there's not a lot just sitting there.
60% of the houses for sale are sold. So when you drive to, where do you go with the babies? The store,
We
church,
take them
work?
to school. Yeah, they go to daycare school. Yeah.
So when you drive
Teddy
through
goes
the
to
neighborhood,
his school too.
oh good, when you drive Teddy to his school
Yeah.
and you see for sale signs,
Uh-huh.
6 out of 10 of those homes already have accepted offers.
Wow.
Your neighborhood, as of, by the way, this was 2 days ago, so this was as of Monday,
Mhm.
your neighborhood only has 1.7 months of inventory.
That doesn't sound like very much.
Have you heard what months of inventory is?
Something to do about timeline on the market.
Yeah, it's kind of how long would it take if no more houses hit the market? How
Oh.
long would it take for the existing inventory to go away? It's 1.7 months right now in your neighborhood, your price point.
Okay.
You've heard the term buyer's market.
Yep.
You've heard seller's market?
I think it is a seller's market, right?
Totally. In fact, National Association of Realtors, which governs all agents, says anything above 6 months of inventory is a buyer's market.
Uh-huh.
Anything below 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. Andrea, as of 2 days ago, which is now, same thing,
Yeah.
your market is 1.7 months.
Well, it's really low.
Super red hot seller's market.
Got it. Cool.
Also, though, it's a good time to be a buyer
Oh.
because rates are really low.
Oh, that makes sense.
So even though it's a seller's market, there's still massive logic to being a buyer because rates are low, which is driving the market.
Probably why the inventory is low, huh?
You're
Buyers
smart.
are buying it all up.
And then the final thing I just want to go over you is the average seller is getting, 5 to 600. And the average seller is getting 99.7% of asking price.
Oh, so we're
They're getting
gonna
full price.
get probably what we put it on, pretty close.
The average seller is, what I'd share with you is this is the average, all agents, all homes.
Yeah.
Number one, your home is really nice.
Okay.
Number two is my marketing's not average. My negotiating is not average.
Oh,
So
good.
I expect I can get better than 99.7.
Cool.
Cool. So pause. I just completed 80% of my listing presentation. Well, here's the reality is I could talk about how great I am. I could talk about how great my company is. And we know we have folks from all brands on this call. That's awesome. You're at your company because you think it's great. Good, me too. I could talk about how great my team is. I could talk about so many things.
I don't care.
What did I talk about?
The stuff I care about.
What she cared about is how do you communicate and are you a neighborhood expert? By the way, I never said if I've sold houses in her neighborhood or not. I just said what's going on in her neighborhood.
Right.
And then I always wrap it up. So Andrea, based on, so here's the end of the script. Andrea, based on everything I just shared going on in your neighborhood, I know one thing you care about somebody that's a neighborhood expert. Would you agree I'm a neighborhood expert
Yep.
in your community?
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
And what did I say after the communication script? Andrea, based on how we communicate, would that meet or exceed your expectations?
Yep. Meet some, exceed them, all the above. So you're wrapping it back around, right? So here's the three, I guess, problems or obstacles that I gave you, objections. And from that, you're solving it and confirming that it's been solved. So we're just moving along, moving forward. Okay.
And then I won't go through every script with you because I don't need to, because you're going to do your own think sheets and you're going to get your own 3 questions answered. And then you're going to spend your 2 days of prep coming up with your value proposition. We were teaching this last week, same course actually, and somebody said, can you send me your communication script? I'm like, no, it's my communication script.
Right.
You may communicate totally different than I do.
Right.
The purpose is I have a value proposition of how I communicate, and my team and I articulate that on every appointment.
Exactly.
I have
And
a-
practice it.
I have a value proposition of how we're neighborhood experts, and we practice that. I have a value proposition on how I negotiate.
Yep.
My negotiating may be horrible in your mind, so you don't need my negotiating value proposition. You need to make sure you have your own.
And that you know it very, very well.
So when somebody says, hey, when I ask what's the 3 things you want from your agent, and they say something that I don't have a value proposition on,
Right.
it happens all the time, by the way.
Yeah.
What do I spend the next day doing?
Figuring it out.
Creating a value proposition so I can walk into their house and deliver that.
Creating it, role playing it, practicing it, tweaking it, and then
Yeah.
delivering it.
Yeah, go back like 3 slides, please.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show you. One more. One more. One more.
Okay.
One more.
What?
Where's the one where it says practice for 2 hours?
Oh,
I got so excited.
this one.
There it is.
I
went
still
too
on
many.
here.
Be prepared. Oh, it's the one we're just on? That's amazing. All right, be prepared. It's not uncommon to spend a half hour to 2 hours prepping. This is all the prep work. Everything I just delivered sitting at her table,
Mm.
I spent 2 hours prepping before I got to her house. And not like that morning before I start prep. I explode on my team when I see them prepping right before a listing appointment.
So
Well, it's annoying because what if they got 7 offers? What if their toe hurts? What if their car runs out of gas? You can't. It's a bad habit to prep right before you do something because if a fire jumps up, then you don't have prep.
yeah,
So
or
I
you're
want-
massively distracted.
Yeah, I want to do all of my prep long before.
Yep.
Long before. And that
Yep.
way, no matter what comes at me, I can show up to that house on time with a good headspace. In fact, I am always so early because it's so early that up to the appointments that I don't feel comfortable like, hi, I'm 20 minutes early.
So it'll be so
So
awkward.
I'll spend those last 20 minutes. This is really cool for those of you still paying attention. It really works. Also, if I don't run into traffic, I'll be 15 minutes early. If I do run into traffic, I'll be right on time.
Okay, so let's say you're 15 minutes early. What do you do?
I drive around the neighborhood. I look for any parks or I look at the solds.
Oh, so you familiarize yourself with their neighborhood.
Yep. Number 2 is I turn my car off. I turn my phone off. Why do I turn my phone off?
You don't want to be distracted by good and bad things.
The last thing I want to do is 2 minutes before walking into a listing appointment, I get a phone call, ring, ring.
Well,
Hey, Andrea, it's Title, and I just want to let you know that bad news. The Johnsons, their loan just fell apart. They're not going to be able to close.
oh my God, I'm so mad, and now I have to go to a listing appointment.
Yeah, like you don't want that negative headspace.
No.
So,
Same thing with lead gen, right? It's distracting. You just turn everything off. You focus on the task at hand.
and I literally will just do affirmations in my car. So my phone's off. There's no distractions. I get to breathe because I'm not rushing in late and panicked.
Right.
And it's like my affirmations. I'm a great agent. Everybody's excited to hire me. Everybody's excited to pay me the commission I asked for. These are motivated sellers that will sign contracts with me before I leave their house today. I have the best value proposition in the business. They are excited to hire me today. And literally, it may sound silly, but I will sit in my car and do these affirmations.
It works.
Then I take a breath, I knock on the door, and I crush it. Success leaves clues. All right, next slide.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, can we move forward into like the pricing part of it?
Yeah, we should do that.
Okay.
I always give 3 prices.
Okay.
So Andrea, you said, so I write them down. So while I'm giving my presentation, towards the end, I'll be like, you want to talk price?
Yes, yeah, I'm
Okay,
ready.
great.
Okay, so
So-
we've gone through everything. We've gone through the pink sheet, we talked, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Okay,
Let's talk price.
yes,
Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 prices. I'm just going to write them down right now.
okay.
I just wrote these down. Probably see those.
Maybe, I don't know, your handwriting's pretty bad.
515, 545. So
Okay.
Andrea,
Yeah,
and I'll circle 500 is my suggested price. So I agree
great.
with you. I know you wanted that. In this case, you're right.
awesome.
That's what I call fair market value.
Okay,
I'll joke also that's the Mexico price.
what does that
Do
mean?
you like Mexico?
love
I saw
Mexico.
I saw the Cancun pictures.
That was nice.
Yeah, well, you have one in the fridge. Anyway, like I love Mexico.
Yeah.
Go back to Mexico for 3 months and I'll have your house sold for top dollar. That's what 500 gets. Like your house is going to sell. I'll probably get multiple offers
Okay,
in a
cool.
3-month period.
Cool, love it.
515, that's what I call the pie in the sky price. Super aggressive, probably overpriced.
Mhm.
Might have to do price reductions. Let me put it this way, Andrew. That's the most I would attach my marketing and name on the sign to. Like anything above that's just too crazy for me.
Got it, okay.
485 is give it away.
We don't want to,
No, you never said that.
Okay.
But I want to give you the pricing. Like 500 is a realistic price. It's not giving it away. 45 is giving it away. 515 super aggressive.
Mhm.
Based on these 3 prices, where do you want to go?
I mean, it's really important to us that we can buy a bigger house, which is going to cost more.
Yeah.
So the most we can get would be so helpful. So can we try 515?
Of course you can. I wouldn't have written it down if you couldn't try it.
Okay,
So Andrew, if we go on 515, you want to hire me?
I think so.
Out of script, that's my close right there. So number 1, let's go back.
Okay,
I gave her 3 prices. They are all prices I will do.
Uh-huh.
So I'm giving her control though. Did you like the control of being able to pick your price?
Yeah.
Perfect. So you said,
that we'd like to try 515.
awesome. Here's my first close. Andrea, good. So yeah, let's go 515. Ready to get started and hire me?
Okay.
Let's go. You know what? We actually, and this is real, we have not even talked commission and she just hired me.
Well, let's say that I wanted to talk commission. We haven't talked about commission yet.
Okay, great. So we're good at 515. Everything else I've said, communication, negotiating, neighborhood expert, you're great with.
Yeah.
So all that price we're good with. So if we agree on commission, am I your right agent?
Yes.
What did I just do?
Isolated.
I isolated. I made sure that if her and I get to agreement on commission, so I didn't just say, yeah, my commission's X. I said, cool, Andrew, we're good at price on 515.
Yep.
We're good on my ability to negotiate.
Yep.
We're good on neighborhood experts.
Yep.
And you like how we communicate.
Negotiate. Yep.
Communicate, negotiate, all of it.
All
So
the
the only thing left is commission. We get to agreement on that. Do you want to move forward?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk commission. Then I'll talk commission. But that's called isolation.
Okay.
The other reason I like to give 3 prices is because I've lost listings throughout my career where it's like, hey, do you want to hire me? And it's like, no, the other agent came in at 515 and you told us 500, so we hired her. No, that really happens. Not fun.
Okay, so we figured it out. So 515, you're gonna explain to me how commission works, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, sort of. So as so we get agreement on commission. Good, we get on commission.
Yeah, we're good.
Good. You want to sign contracts?
I think
Say
that.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. So as we're signing contracts, I'm going to explain to her the pitfalls of going 515.
Okay.
Yeah, just the pitfalls. Like I'll do it. I set out to do it, but Andrea, and there's pitfalls. Ladies and gentlemen, on this webinar, you're experienced enough to know if you go at the highest price, there's pitfalls to that. Say yes.
Yeah.
Good. So I'll explain those pitfalls. Now I'll still sign at 515, but like Andrea, I know you want to be aggressive. I know every dollar counts. Maybe we should start at 508. Maybe we start at 509. Maybe we start at 510. If you want to do 515, I said I'll do it, but here's the pitfalls.
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll get her to agree to 507 or 510.
Okay. Get it down a little bit.
Either way, I said 515, I'll do it, but I feel an ethical responsibility to explain the pitfalls.
Okay.
Through the entire process, I'm doing trial closes. So this is prior to her signing trial closes. Do you feel I'm the right agent?
Yep.
Does that sound good?
Yep.
Do you want to get started?
Yep.
Would you agree on the type of agent you're looking for?
Yep.
Do you agree that's the kind of communication you're looking for?
Yep.
I'm just trial close. When you get people in a habit through the entire presentation of saying yes, and then you ask, do you want to hire me? What's the natural thing they say?
Yes.
Perfect. Isolate, Andrew and I just handled. I'm going to give you my favorite 3 closes in history. Like these just crush it for me. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't.
They're pretty good.
So close number 1 is, do you want to get started? Do you want to hire me? And she would say,
I want to sleep on it.
not the close 1 is great. Close 2 and 3 are amazing. So Andrew,
that was such a good plug.
yeah, hey, do you want to hire me? Am I your agent?
You know what? I think things sound good, but when we talk about it, we'll sleep on it and we'll do it tomorrow.
Of course you can. Close 2. Andrea, I'm here, you're here, Gus is here. We had to reschedule Gus for you to be here. Thanks for being here, buddy. A lot of what you want to sleep on and talk about is actually the next step, which is our 10-page contract.
Oh.
Not my contract, by the way, it's the state's contract that we use.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to get this filled out together. Then you guys sleep on it, call me up in the morning, and if you don't want to hire me, I'll rip it up. And if you want to hire me, everything's done. So why don't we fill it out together? How does that sound? So that was close 2.
So we're going to fill it out and then you're going to take it?
Sure, and like I said, call me in the morning, we'll rip it up if you don't want to move forward. But I do want to explain it to you while I'm here.
No, I like the idea, but I don't think I feel comfortable with you having a copy of my signed paperwork.
It's fair, I've only been here 35 minutes.
Right.
So this is close 3. I will gain your trust over time. I appreciate that, that's fair. I do want to explain this to you and Gus.
Okay.
You guys are all here, which wasn't easy with the babies, the twins, my schedule, what have you. I was on time, but at the end of the day, you're busy, and I do a lot of this. Let's fill it out together. Sign it.
Okay.
You guys keep the whole dang thing. I won't take anything with me. So that way, at least it's done. Text me tomorrow and say, Craig, come back, put a sign in my yard, let's get started. Or text me in the morning like, hey, we slept on it, we don't like you.
Okay.
That's close 3.
What happens?
They sign. One of those 3, they sign on 99.99% of the time. And if I have to get to close 3, which does happen, is as they're signing, you see them exhale. You see their shoulders relax.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that you're the right hire. Ladies and gentlemen, hiring somebody to sell your house is a stressful freaking process. Even the thought of just selling your house, allowing strangers to come through, doing the bark dust, getting rid of the dog, making your bed every morning. Like, I don't care how good you are as an agent, selling your house sucks for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is they're reluctant to sign, not because it's you, just they know they're stepping into a bunch of stress.
Yep.
Now, as a good agent, you're going to alleviate as much of that stress as possible.
Right.
But there's no way. You're not going to come and make their beds for them.
Right.
You're not going to clean up after their babies every morning. So what happens is they're signing it. They're like, man, I am in good hands. And more times than not, they're just like, take it with you. We're fine. Let's start tomorrow.
Right. Yep.
So whatever the objection is, I want to sleep on it. I want to pray on it. I want to interview another agent maybe. I want to talk to my financial planner. All of those will go to those 3 closes, and 99 out of 100 times get signed.
Yeah, absolutely. It works.
All right, so wrap up. Man, we did good, Andrea. 59 minutes.
Timing.
Wrap up. Always pre-qualify.
Yep.
Many CMAs and pink sheets should become your best friends. Top agents do it. You're a top agent in disguise. It's time to start doing it. Number 2 is be on time.
Mm-hmm.
3 is practice your presentation over and over and over before you show up.
So like literally once we get this filled out, when we say like, oh, we're preparing and practice, great, do all of that and then grab somebody and be like, hey, I'm gonna practice this on you. Like run through the actual listing presentation of that exact appointment before you go on it.
I mean, Andrew and I are professional paid coaches. I own a coaching company. I've been a paid coach for over a decade. My team comes to me, my personal sales team, we're in production, comes to me for coaching. Like, Craig, I've got a listing opportunity and I need help. Well, at this point, and I'm like, they're
Where's
awesome.
The big sheet?
And the first thing I ask is,
where's the big sheet?
Yeah, and then they come in and we will just role play the listing presentation off the big sheet over and over until they're like, I've got this. And then they go on the listing and they get it.
They get it. Yep.
Yeah.
It
So
works.
practice. Pre-qualified, be on time and practice, and focus on what's important to them. At any point today, as we role play, did I talk about how great my marketing is?
No.
Did I talk about how cool I am?
No.
Did I talk about my amazing team?
You mentioned Bree, but that was it.
Because I talked about what you cared about.
Yeah.
Now, if you'd said the most important thing to you is marketing,
yeah,
I would have had a value proposition on marketing. If you'd said, hey, I worked with a team in the past and the team sucked, have we seen that come up before?
Yes. Yep.
Good. Would I have had a value proposition of what makes my team special?
Absolutely. Yep.
All I talk about, right? So this final wrap up, focus on what's important to them. All I talk about is what's important to them. What did they tell me they care about?
Mm-hmm.
Understand, prior to this system, it is a system, I went over and I talked about everything.
Oh God.
And it took hours.
Sounds boring.
Now I just talk about what they want to talk about. All right, any Q&A? I know this is our quiet group. We have 3 of these going. Love some Q&A. Preach it.
Preach.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that's nice.
Christina.
I like Christina.
That's nice.
All right, everybody, have a powerful week. Preachy away. I'm on my soapbox. I'm getting off of it. Have a great week, everybody. Go and dominate your listing business. We're proud of you.
Yay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.